Good morning and welcome to our first quarter's FY21 results, which I'm happy to share with you. Let me start with some quick updates on COVID. I'm happy to inform you that after a very challenging start in April, where we had a very skeletal staff, we have actually ramped up fairly rapidly, and by June end, we are back to pre-COVID operating strength. So that's one piece of good news. On the other hand, you know that many parts of the country, especially Karnataka and especially Bangalore, has seen some very sharp surges in COVID-19 cases. But suffice to say that we are really watching the situation very well. As you know, we have been very strictly enforcing workplace discipline through very, very well thought out protocols. And this is with a view to keeping the campuses both safe and infection free. So I think we have been so far very successful in doing this, and we will keep adopting better and better improvements in our workplace practices to ensure that our operations will continue uninterrupted. I also want you to know that we have, as a matter of precaution, ensured that the non-critical kind of workplace functions like marketing, finance, IT, and other operations that can work remotely have been ordered to actually work remotely. It's only the manufacturing, quality, and R&D, personnel who have been asked to report to work, and we have them operating at the strength and numbers that we need for full operations. Now coming to key financial highlights, I want to start with the fact that we've had a recovery quarter where we had seen a dip in Q4, but as we had promised, this was going to be a recovery quarter, and it is a very strong recovery quarter. We have actually reported at a group level 14% revenue growth from 1483 crores last fiscal to 1699 crores this fiscal. I would also like to say that the EBITDA for the quarter stood at 432 crores, which is just a tad lower than 462 crores last fiscal. EBITDA margins declined from 31 to 26% this fiscal. However, core EBITDA margins, which is exclusive of licensing impact, Forex, and R&D, was at a healthy 32%. We on an average, so what I would like to actually talk about is the fact that the two of our divisions in Biocon had very strong growth. One was the generics business, which grew 16%, and our biologics business, which grew 19%. But these two were kind of more, brought down by a flat performance in our research services business at Syngene. What also impacted us in terms of our PAT, which was at 153 crores, was really the higher R&D spends that we've had to invest in. But that is an important part of our growth driving, investment, which has actually sharply increased this quarter. And at a P&L level, it has been expensed at 101 crores. So I think this has been a very sharp doubling of R&D spends from last fiscal. Apart from that, we've had lower profit share contribution from our partners as compared to the previous fiscal. If you remember, the last fiscal, we had a huge contribution because we had just launched pegfilgrastim, biosimilar pegfilgrastim in the US. This time we have had a pretty decent contribution from pegfilgrastim, but it hasn't been to the levels that we had seen in Q1 last fiscal because of competition, which has brought down some of the pricing that we enjoyed last fiscal. So between this and the R&D spends and the lower profit contribution from Syngene, I think has impacted our overall profitability. But like we said last quarter, the growth will only start tracking from Q2 onwards, and we are very confident. We have good visibility of what this growth will look like for the rest of the year. So we are going to be able to say that we will end on a strong growth, trajectory in FY21. What is also very important for me to mention is the very promising and encouraging data that we have seen from our drug itolizumab, which received restricted emergency use authorization earlier this month. And even in just a matter of 10 days, we are seeing a huge rising demand for this drug. We are very confident that this will be a breakthrough drug for the world, and we are making all and every effort to develop this drug for global markets. As I already have announced, our US partners, Equilium, are very encouraged by this proof of concept data that we have released on the back of which we got this restricted emergency approval. And they are in the process of initiating clinical trials in the US for COVID-related complications, which are related to the cytokine release storm. In addition to that, we are in the process of initiating a 200-patient phase 4 study, as is required by the CDSCO, the DCGI, for this restricted emergency use authorization. We plan to do this across 10 to 15 hospitals across the country, and we are actually putting in place a very strong registry. We've actually in the process of hiring an international CRO to ensure that this registry is well managed. And we will also be creating a much larger registry, which will also look at patients outside the phase 4 trial and those who are now being treated, and who will provide the real world evidence which we want to capture in a very well managed registry. So a lot is happening. I know that as we speak, there are hundreds of patients across the country who have benefited from this drug after its EUA, and I keep receiving endless number of thank you notes from patients who have used the drug and who have recovered well, and most of them have gone through life-threatening conditions before itolizumab was administered, and they've all, of course, thanked me for the way they feel today. So it is very encouraging, and as you know, for a scientist, entrepreneur like me, it is patients who really matter at the end of the day, because they are the reason why we are doing all this research. So I'm very encouraged by what I've heard. Now let me come to a bit of segmental analysis. Generics, as you know, had a very strong quarter, 16% up on last year to almost 600 crore levels. And what is important is that this business has strongly benefited from immunosuppressants and statins in the API sector, and through their ANDA generics business in the US, where the statins are what we are marketing under the Biocon brand. So I think these two have really steered this growth for the generics business. And the PBT margins for the quarter was up 2% at 17%, which I think is a very strong performance that tells you that our generics business is in very good shape. Coming to biosimilars, we've seen a large number. This also is a business that has grown very strongly, 19% year on year. EBITDA was at 195 crores. And we have delivered on this promise of a recovery that most people were very disappointed with in Q4 last year. And we have seen a sequential growth of 60% from 430 from rupees 433 crores to 692 crores. So I think this is something that is noteworthy, and we are very confident that with the Semglee launch that we have seen, the Semglee approval and the Semglee launch in US this quarter is going to further add to this growth trajectory for this for the biosimilars business. Trastuzumab is also seeing a positive trend in market share, increasing to mid-single digits, and pegfilgrastim has maintained a very steady market share despite the increased competition. And we are, we expect to see growth in this molecule as well. We have seen a large number of launches for both Ogivri and Fulphila, which is our trastuzumab and pegfilgrastim in European markets, and we are looking forward to the launch of insulin Semglee in the US. Now, as you know, we've recently announced a digital therapeutic partnership with Voluntis on their very, very innovative personalized diabetes management digital platform called Insulia. And we believe that this is something that will actually differentiate us in the marketplace and allow us to build our own very strong presence in the insulin business, in the insulin sector globally. So this is a US FDA approved digital therapeutics platform, and we will use this for insulin Semglee, Glargine or Semglee to start with. But as you know, Biocon is also coming out with its own recombinant human insulin over the next year or two. And this will basically enable us to build our own presence through this digital platform. Biocon and Mylan are also in the process of having its insulin aspart BLA looked at. So we are on track for that. And we expect approval even for insulin aspart in the coming few years. So I think with that, we will have a very robust insulin portfolio, and digital therapeutics like Insulia will really help us to garner a very strong presence in the insulin market. Our partner Mylan also received US FDA approval for biosimilar adalimumab Hulio, in which we have a return in terms of the profit share. So I think all this is going to augur very well for the company in this fiscal. Mylan also expects to launch its biosimilar Etanercept in Europe, in which we also have some shared economics. So all in all, I think we are well on the journey to the $1 billion target by FY22, where we want to really serve at least 5 million patients and make a difference to their lives. I do believe that in terms of research services, although they've had a flat quarter, they've seen very good performance in their discovery services. They have, because of COVID, they have managed to actually create a new opportunity for themselves in the area of this whole area of viral technologies, where they've actually developed both kits and are supporting various vaccine efforts around the world. So I think overall, I think this is going to be a very large opportunity for Syngene in terms of in creating these viral opportunities. In addition to that, I'm also pleased to inform you that they have received a grant from BIRAC, from DBT, for lentivirus production. This is going to be a new service that Syngene will be able to roll out. They've also partnered with CCMB for NGS for the COVID-19 virus. So lots of things happening at Syngene as well. They have their dedicated centers, which are doing extremely well. They are also getting into a very strong innovation hub creation through Synvent with Deerfield and so on and so forth. So I think Syngene's business, although it is flat this quarter, is expected to grow in the subsequent quarters. And I do believe that even Syngene is now in a transformational path. Novel biologics, I wanted to make a statement here. I won't repeat my comments on itolizumab. That has been a huge breakthrough for us, and we wanted to be a breakthrough drug from India. And I'm very confident that it will develop a very, very unique profile, which we can all feel very, very proud of as a innovated in India, molecule. We also have our subsidiary Bicara Therapeutics, which is developing bispecific antibodies for various cancers. And I'm very pleased to inform you that the first molecule, BC101, has entered the clinic at MD Anderson in the US. And this is a very exciting start of a very new journey for us in this whole area of immuno-oncology, which I'm sure will be another very important novel area for India, for Biocon to pursue. In addition to that, our insulin tregopil is also making progress. We have completed the first phase of a very important study that we have done in Europe under the JDRF grant that we received, and we will now then go into the next phase. But I think the kind of data we are seeing from insulin tregopil is something that we will also create into hopefully a near-term opportunity for us in India and some of the other markets that we can avail through this data. So all in all, I think the novels business is also going to be a very important business for Biocon going forward. Starting this fiscal, that is starting 1st of April, we will now be reporting our business in 4 verticals: generics, which is our original small molecules, API and ANDA business. Then we have the biosimilars business, which is going to be the biologics business and the biosimilars biologics business, as well as the branded formulations business, largely out of India, but also in UAE and a few other markets where we will have our own marketing presence. And then we have the research services business, which is really Syngene. And then the 4th is going to be the novels business, which I just mentioned to you, will really track these molecules under development, of which itolizumab will probably have the nearest commercialization opportunity. The other programs are in an investment stage. So with that, I will stop and say that I will take question and answers. But in the meantime, I wish you all a very safe, time ahead. Thank you.